Bonjour, besties. How are we doing? How are you feeling? Welcome back to the Single Besties podcast. It is me, Montana Durant, and today we are being besties for real. I'm breaking it down like I was breaking it down for my bestie in real life to you guys about my dating app experiences in France. And I'll give you that first, and then we'll do a full trip recap at the end. But I'm going to give the girlies what they want, and I'm going to give my mom a moment to click off of this because, girl, this is not for my mom. And I know she watches everything I do. Mom, this is not for you. This is for the girls. Okay, she should be gone now. Let's have a chat. So I knew I was going to Paris only 1 month before I went. One, because my birthday's a month after Christmas, so I was winning my Christmas money. Like, everyone was like, are you rich now? No. I maxed out on my Amex points, and I was waiting on my Christmas money to book the flight. So that's not on that. And that's just keeping it real. So I knew I had a month before I was going, and I knew I wanted to, one, do market research for the besties and see if it was just an America problem or if it was a cultural problem, like if it was just a phenomenon worldwide, like if it was an American culture thing or if it was an every guy thing. Because that's how much I care about you guys. I'm willing to put myself on the front line for you to do the market research. So you're freaking welcome. I digress. So I knew I was going a month before I went, so that gave me plenty of time to change my location on Hinge. So the first thing I did was change it to France. Paris, France. French Montana. So I started swiping. Swiper, no swiping. And I actually made a connection with 4 guys. I matched with a couple, and so spoiler alert, the first introduction messages are not that much different. Like, there are some guys that are super aggressive, and if you saw my first video about my first experience in Paris, literally I get off the train and a man tried to kiss me. He's an old man, messed up hip. He tried to kiss me on the lips after he helped me get to my train station and asked me if I like sex. So like, the men in France are very sexual. That is just that is part of their culture. So they're very sexual. So some of the messages I was getting off the jump were very sexual, so I would just automatically remove those. But I feel like I can't just say that's a France thing because they like sex a lot, because guys in America do that too. Like, guys in America will just send you some wild stuff off the rip. So like, that was a similarity. Like, sometimes you get a wild opening message and it's like, let me lick your for 45 minutes, and I'm like, thank you, I think, but like, hello? Bonjour? Like, I know you guys are really about saying bonjour first, but is that how you say bonjour? No, I don't think so. So that is a similarity. And I didn't know much about the culture. I knew it's like the city of love. So of course I want to go on a date. But I also knew that I couldn't just pick one. Because one, in dating experiences that you have in America, you know, sometimes you meet someone, they ghost you, they don't show up to the date, they don't want to keep talking longer than a few days. So I was like, one, I cannot just pick one because I'm not going to get there and then like have talked to you for a month and then like maybe disappointed that we don't go on a date. And then two, I was like, I can't fall in love because we all know I love to move to a new city when I go there and like it. So I was like, I can't fall in love with someone because then I'm just gonna move and it feels like it'd be really hard to move to France. So here's what we did. I matched with probably like 10 or 12 people. I narrowed it down to 4 that I liked. Well, actually, there was a fit. There was an OG guy, like not the first guy, but like there was a guy that like we had talked enough off of Hinge that we went on Snapchat. I know it's like I'm breaking my own rule, but it is harder to like text and stuff. And he didn't have Instagram, allegedly. Allegedly he didn't. So we did Snap because I don't like WhatsApp. I hate WhatsApp. That's the one thing I hate about international travels. I had to use WhatsApp a lot and I didn't love WhatsApp, but it is more convenient when you're traveling international. Anywho, but I'm such a WhatsApp girly now. I just hate Mark Zuckerberg. I digress. So he added me on Snapchat and we talked for like 3 days and like he was checking my good mornings, sending me good mornings everywhere, and then one day just like randomly deleted me. So I was like, oh, he probably had a girlfriend. So again, pretty much similar experiences as what you get in America. So that's what I get for breaking my own rule. I added a man on Snapchat and he ghosted me. That is literally, I tell you guys not to do it because that's what's gonna happen, and it happened to me. So you're welcome Don't act nice on Snapchat. Why do we even still have Snapchat? I only have it for the memories. Okay. So I matched with 4 guys. And let me tell you, I'm going to tell you, I ranked them. Like my favorite, my second favorite, my third favorite, and my fourth favorite. Third and fourth were kind of tied. But my first favorite, oh my God, he was my first favorite because he was just like, if you could carbon copy my type into a French, like he was tall, but even like on a different level, like tall, handsome, beautiful. Like literally, we started following each other on Instagram. I'm pretty sure he's a model because he posts all these like headshots that photographers have taken of him. So he was just a beautiful, creative, beautiful man. He's my favorite. He was my favorite. Number one. Then number two, there was a guy that was a complete sweetheart. Like from the second we started messaging, he was so sweet. Never once had any inkling of anything sexual, even insinuating anything. Super, just you could tell that he was a gentleman. And then I found out like he had sisters, so I'm like, oh, it makes sense. Like you were around women, so you know how to talk to them like a human. So he was probably second favorite. And then third favorite. Third favorite is kind of hard because this is where I realized I had a lot of self-discovery on said trip. And third favorite, I realized was a problem that he was my third favorite after I met him, because I almost was gonna keep him like as number 4 because I was like, I'm probably not gonna see him because it felt like he was so into me. Which I realize is an issue. Like we're growing and glowing. We're still learning. But he was super into me and it was making me not into him. But then plot twist, we met in person and I was like, oh my God, he's so precious. I'm a jerk for being like this. So learning experience. And then the fourth one, he was my fourth favorite because he just was kind of like dismissive. Like he would check on me every day leading up to the trip and like text me and was like checking in during the fires, but it was just kind of like dismissive and I was like chalking it up to a language barrier, but I don't think it was a language barrier because I had stacked the way I was going to see said people in person. I was like, okay, I'll see this guy Tuesday when I get in, I'll see this guy Wednesday, see this guy Thursday, and then I'll see this guy Friday. Thank God I had them stacked because my favorite, and this is when I had the self-reflective moment because so I got there in the afternoon and I got lost in the train station and the man tried to have sex with me in the train station. And so by the time I got to my hotel, it was like nighttime. I went and had dinner and then I was like texting the guy. I was like, did you want to meet for a drink? Like we had talked about all month. And what I will say is all 4 of them had consistent communication with me, were asking me about the fires because we were talking all through January and they had the news, they knew what was going on. So like literally 3 strangers I've never met before in my life checked on me, and some people I know in real life didn't even check on me. So like let that sink in, Montana. You're all very sweet. We not inappropriate in any type of way. I was really excited to get there, like excited. The one that was my favorite was like telling me like I know the best spots, like I'll take you to all the local spots, treat you like local. And so that's what I was trying to experience, like the culture and like the culture of like these men, but like also the culture of like what's it like to be a local there. Like I don't want to go to the tourist freaking traps. The Eiffel Tower was pretty, but where do the locals go? I know they're over this tower, so like where are the locals at? That's where I was trying to go. And this number one was hyping it up the whole time, like I am gonna show you Paris, oui, oui. So obviously, I think he's just so beautiful, and I'm so excited to see him and only him. I'm like, that's why I had his date go first because I'm like, well, what if we just fall in love in the city of love, and then I'll just blow off everyone else? That was my logic. And so I realized he was my first favorite when, for the wrong reasons on day one, because I get there and I get a voice memo about how just something came up. And it seemed like a legitimate excuse. And then he was like, I wouldn't want you to see me in this state of mind because you came here from a different continent. We've been talking. Like, I want you to have my full attention, and if I have to, it was like something, he was trying to bring like the police into it, which I'm sure he did have something going on. I'm not trying to be like put my own trauma on him. Basically, he was like, I can't get together tonight. You deserve my full attention, and I'm very like, I have to handle my business. And I was like, handle your business. But I pretty much was like, I'm not gonna see him. So I had to readjust. So, you know, I had the 4. So number 1 was out. And so then I'm like, of course he was my favorite. That's in my head. I'm like, of course he was my favorite because he was toxic. And like looking back on some of the posts too, like the Saturday before I made it to Paris. So like I made it to Paris on Tuesday, and that Saturday he had posted something like, is it cheating if you do it just once? And like, I think it was a meme, like it was a joke. But in my head, I'm like, oh my God. So it kind of was all starting to click. I'm like, oh, that's why he was my number 1 favorite, because he is like everything of my quote unquote typical type. And that typical type literally always I self-destruct. So I kind of was like grateful we didn't meet. So then I had to rethink my strategy. I had to rethink my strategy. And so you know what I did? You remember number 3 I told you about that was like low-key obsessed with me? And he literally, guys, it was so sweet because one of the messages, he was like, so am I gonna be your boyfriend after you leave Paris? And I was like, do you want to be? And then he kind of did make a joke about, he was like, I love California. So I was like, oh my God, he just wants a green card. So that was just me being dumb. But I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. But I'm like, I don't know you. Why are you telling me you love California now? You want to be my boyfriend? We've never met in person, but you know, say love you. I don't even know if that's French. So I readjust. I'm like, okay, number 3, it's your lucky day. You're getting bumped up to number 1 because number 2, we had already had a date planned. So number 3 got bumped up to number 1. And we met close to where I was staying at because he had just gotten off work and worked close to where I was. He worked at like 8:30, worked at like a store. His own brand, like he was just super creative. He was a dancer. I really enjoyed meeting him. And afterwards I was like, oh, that's when I was on my way home, I had that realization. I was like, he's so precious and he is so sweet and so genuine, and literally came the day you got here, like was checking on you the whole time, was being super sweet. And like, did he make a comment like, am I gonna be your boyfriend? It could have just been a joke. So why did I let that freak me out? And him not, he ended up being like low key. He's so sweet. We are still talking now. So he was so sweet. And like, I had that realization after, because like I was on my way home and my quote unquote favorite had disappointed me. And then the third one that was like not my favorite at all, was honestly cringing out. I was like, oh my God, this might be a me problem. Like, this might be a me thing where I am attracted to the wrong things. And I think that the first step to fixing something is to realizing it. So at least in that moment, I realized it, and I was like, you know what? Like, I can course correct. Like, I can be nice to this guy. I was like kind of like blowing off that he was like actually super sweet and came a long way after he spent the whole day working. So it was actually really, really sweet. And I'm really grateful that that happened. Okay. Then we move on to number 2. And I don't know why he was number 2, because number 1 was just like infected my brain because he was like the model, beautiful, picturesque type. So like number 2 actually was number 1, if we're being honest. And because he was so sweet, like I said, he was like, he literally would send me voice messages in the time between like when I had came, like when I was on my like coming, and then like the journey, but before I got there. So he was like sending me voice memos, like talking to me about the culture, asking me about LA, asking me about my like just doing all the typical stuff he would do, like texting someone. But he would also send voice memos and like have me practice French, which was so embarrassing because if you guys hear how country and southern I talk, imagine it with an accent. It's horrible. It would be easier for me to learn Spanish though, because I know it better, but I have never been able to do the R thing. Like I literally took 4 years of Spanish, can understand it, can't speak it very well. French, I actually feel like I could. It's just a bit more confusing than Spanish. I digress. So he was having me send these voice memos in French. Like he was my personal Duolingo. So already points for that because it's like, oh, you care about it. And he really liked American culture too. Like we connected about music. Of course, like he was like a Drake stan, and I was like, oh my god, like I live in LA. I'm just kidding. I am still a Drake stan too. I like them both. Controversial opinion. And so he was just really sweet leading up to it. So I had every expectation that it was going to be the one comment, he didn't make any inappropriate comment about sex, but he did say, like, one of our first, like, not first conversation, but like after the first few days, he was like, do you think I can show you a French kiss when you're in France? And I was like, yes, you can. Show me a French kiss. Show me if I'm doing it right. I don't actually know. French Montana knew. So he made the French kiss comment, which was actually cute. It was cute, I'm not gonna lie. So he texts me like, make sure I'm there, gets there, and he's like, okay, where are you staying? Like, I know you're staying in the 5, but what exactly are you staying? Like, I'll help you find a place that's close to you that we can meet. So, which I'm really thankful for, because he was like, he sent me a simple, quote unquote, simple address, which plot twist, my whole time in Paris, every address I was going to, I got lost going to, because très confusing. So he was like, I don't think you'll get lost coming here. It's close to where you're staying. I'll see you there at 7:30. And here's the thing. I was not going to make it by 7:30, but I was going to lie like I could and try to make a way. But then at 7:30, he was like, I just got off work. Or not at 7:30, like an hour before, he was like, can we push 8? And I was like, please, dear God, yes, thank God, because I actually need to move this to 8, but I didn't want to come across rude. I was just gonna show up late. I still ended up showing up late because I got lost. I literally got lost. But I looked on my Google Maps, and how did I get lost? Because I literally took an Uber. So I don't know how I got lost, but I did get lost even though I took an Uber. So I get there, and he's outside of the place, and it's raining in Paris, and it's a Wednesday, and the place is just randomly closed. So he's standing outside this closed place waiting on this American in the rain. And so I get there, and he's like, the place is closed, but we can go around the corner. I know a good spot there. And so I'm like, okay. He gives me a big hug when he sees me. Literally so cute. So cute. Like, when I tell you, he's so hot. Not my typical type either. Like, not my typical type, but so handsome and sweet and just. So he takes my hand. Like, it was a dream. I was having my Lizzie McGuire moment. Like, truly, Lizzie McGuire was in Rome, so I'm not that stupid. I know that. But I was having my Lizzie McGuire moment. And the girls I know. So he holds my hand. We're walking down the street. It's raining a bit. He's like, are you okay? Making sure that, like, I'm on the right side of the street. You know, like, so, like, if a car was gonna hit one of us, it was gonna hit him, not me. Which was so sweet. I do notice when guys do that. Like, if you walk on the... Like, if you're gonna let me be exposed, like, that's crazy. Like, you have to be, like... Be a gentleman. Like, he was walking on the right side of the street. We go to the place. Oh my god, dude. This is so embarrassing, and he doesn't know this, but these random French people do. So, I fell so many times in Paris because everything is, like, very narrow, and I have huge feet. Like, I have huge feet. I fell down so many stairs. Like, I fell downstairs at my apartment, or my hotel. What's wrong with me? I fell down at my hotel. I fell down, like, in public a few times. Not fell down, but, like, tripped, because, like, I had these big boots on. Like, they were chunky boots. And so, like, I have a big foot already, and then I have these chunky shoes on. Like, I just kept falling in Paris. So, like, we're at the date, everything's going good, and then I'm like, I need to run to the restroom. So I run to the restroom on this date just to like make sure the rain didn't make anything fall off. Like I make sure I'm good and actually like use the restroom. So then I come down for the restroom, and when I tell you, I fell down the stairs at this restaurant. I was so embarrassed, and the only two people that saw was this like gay couple, and they laughed, which duh, I was laughing too. And I was like, you saw nothing, because my date, my cute French, my hot, sexy Frenchman is sitting right there waiting on me. Nobody saw that, okay? It was me, God, and these two gay men. So I get back to the table, and he's like, is everything okay? And I was like, yeah, everything's great. He was like, I think I'm gonna run to the restroom too. And I'm like, go for it. So then we finish our drink, get another drink, and it's like raining in Paris when we leave the place. It's still raining. It was raining like basically the whole time, which was fine. I hate rain, but I loved the rain in Paris. Crazy how that works. It is raining in Paris, and it's time for me to go back to my hotel. And I just had like we had the best conversation. He was like, what I remember about him is, and what was different about him and the first guy, we had conversations about like things we liked, things we didn't like, things about me. And then I also like, obviously we connected on it, like we were messaging on Instagram, so like they saw the things I would post or things, my story, like they noticed things about me. Like I just felt more seen, if that makes sense, like because even the conversation I had with the first guy and second guy, like they were bringing up things they knew about me that I had shared or that I was sharing about, and that is something that is different than the guys here. Like I feel like guys here, like I've went on so many dates in LA where it's like I'm asking you 57 questions and you haven't like even asked like, and you, or like you're telling me everything, your hopes and dreams, you haven't even asked me anything. And so I will say that is something I did notice, because especially on the second date, he was like, you're really funny. Like I can even tell that you're funny. Like you should do stand up again. And then I kind of got into like why that's not my hobby anymore and what I'm building, and even like the thought of like, I was like, yeah, so he was very sweet, and you could just tell that he like paid attention to what we were talking about. And so we ended the date with the French kiss in Paris in the rain. And when I tell you, I just was like on a cloud walking home. I was like, and then also he did mention, he was like, I don't know like what your plans are when you're here, like if you're gonna meet other friends or if you're gonna do other things, but I'm free Friday if you want to hang out. And I was like, oh my God, be okay. So I just went on about my day, went on about my night. Like I was exhausted at that point because like I really was not sleeping a lot on this trip, or eating, which is why I think I got so sick when I got home. Separate story. So I went back to my hotel, and the next day was my birthday. And originally I had planned to hang out with number 4, potentially this day. And here's the thing. I had texted him, hey, bestie, I'm like, bonjour, I'm here. And he basically said, I just want to FUCK. So I said, au revoir. So I should have known. He was very dismissive in the beginning. And but we did talk for a whole month, so it was kind of confusing. But I'm like, well, that's just not a cultural difference. That's an American. That's what they all do. So then it's my birthday morning. I get a call from number 1. I get a Instagram call from number 1, and he's like, bonjour. I handled my business. Like, what are you doing today? And I was like, oh, I might go to the Louvre. Like, what's up, bestie? And he's like, oh, I have a meeting with my boss, but I can probably come to the Louvre with you around 2. And so I'm like, okay. And this is like first thing in the morning. He's like, okay, look, I'm on my way to work. Like, we can meet up after my meeting, maybe around 2 p.m. Go to the Louvre, have a day. And I'm like, oh my God, this is cute on my birthday. So then I go to breakfast. Thank God. Like breakfast was like probably the one meal I for sure ate every single day because my hotel gave me breakfast and they have the whip eggs. Oh my God, it was so good. I'm like, I don't even care. Like the whip eggs were so good. And their croissants were good. I finish my breakfast. I go down, get our coffee from the little cafe that I got coffee from every day. And I'm like texting him. I'm like, okay, like, because you have to buy tickets to the Louvre because they had sold out the day before online. Like, or not sold out, but like I had missed the window. Like, I didn't know. You had to buy tickets, okay? And I was like, okay, like I can buy from these two windows. Like, that was the two windows that you could buy from that were left for um, the day. And I was like, what time works best for you? And he was like, actually, like, I have work and it will be hard for me to not work. Like I could bring my laptop, but it would be hard to work there. And I'm like, bruh, what was the point? What was the point? So I didn't see number one because he had plans Friday, so he couldn't arrange his plans Friday. He didn't stop his plans Friday, which I saw in his story. He was at the bar, so it's like, I'm over 21. I can go to the bar, but it's fine. Everything's fine. He wasn't that into me, but I was really into him, and that's okay. But it's also weird. He's still messaging me on Instagram, but that's okay. Well, not like still, but like a few days after. He still follows me. I haven't lost a follower yet. So I just end up having a day with myself, which was actually perfect and everything I wanted to be. I went shopping, I went to Paris. I originally got this shirt for my brother, but he did not text me on my birthday or text me for like 2 weeks when I had been literally just checking on him because he got a car accident and stuff. Like I'm just checking in on him. So whatever, it's fine. I'm keeping it for myself. He did finally text me when he saw the video on TikTok, so we'll just let that sink in. He only texted me when he saw it on TikTok. Okay. But that's one thing that I really loved and appreciated about my trip was just the excellence everywhere, in every building, in every meal I had, in every pastry, in every shop. Even in the way that people dress and present themselves. Like, you just feel this spirit of excellence, the buildings, the history. Like, you just feel like, nah, we're good. Like, we are excellent at what we do. Whatever we do, we're gonna do it with excellence. And that is what I really took away from the experience and what I really appreciated. And like, I went to shopping. I went to McDonald's that day because I hadn't went to McDonald's in Paris. And Ali was like, it's so bomb. Like, get the macarons, get this sandwich, get the potatoes. And it was so yummy. It was so yummy. And I'm so glad I went. So to the McDonald's that day, went to Kith that day. The Kith was just beautiful. Like 3 stories of just like beautiful. You know, I love a streetwear vibe. It was everything. It was so beautiful. McDonald's after that. Then I got lost for about 2 hours on the train trying to make it to my tour. Finally made it there because I got on a bike. Because the trains, I was not well on the trains. I kept going the wrong way. Because you know how they go 2 ways? I was always going the wrong way. That's just a metaphor for life. And then I went on my tour. Oh, and then I went to the Moulin Rouge, the late show on my birthday, and that was fun. Which was also a full circle moment because I was in line and I hear these people behind me and they were speaking English and I was like, first time hearing that in a while. And I go, are you guys American? And they're like, yes. And I was like, oh my gosh, because it was tables of 4, so I was like, if it was 3 of them too, and I was like, if can I sit with you guys, basically? So then we all started chatting and I was like, oh yeah, I live in LA. And they were like, oh my God, me too. And then I was like, oh my God, where? Tell me why it's down the street. It was so kismet. And it was on my birthday and we had the Moulin Rouge show and it was so cute. And then I biked home at like 2 a.m. because I went to the 11 p.m. show, which that was crazy of me to do. But yeah. I just shopped and ate a lot in Paris. Shopped, ate, and had some dates. And it was fun. And my overall recap of Paris dating apps and dating in Paris is one. I do think it's a bit better. I do think it was a bit better. Like, statistically, 2 out of 4 is not bad. 2 dates in 4 days, not bad. And the dates that I did have, I feel like were better quality and better conversation. Which better conversation is crazy because we don't even speak the same language. So I do think there is some sort of cultural thing. Um, and it's also like the city of love. So I feel like they are more loving. Both of the guys, too, I will say, both of the guys that I had successful dates with had sisters. So I do think there is something. And I think that's why I sometimes relate to guys a bit like easier sometimes because I grew up with 2 brothers and both of these guys grew up with 2 sisters. So I do think there is something to that. Like you were around girls a lot, so you kind of get us better. And same for me, like I was around guys and I understand them more. I'm not saying that it's made me amazing with the men. No, but I just, I know sports, I know cultural things that guys know, whatever. So yeah, I do think that the conversation was better. They were sweeter, um, but there's still similarities in both, like the over sexualization of the apps. I feel like you're gonna get that anywhere. I know this is gonna sound like really bad, but I feel like because it's a dating app, that's with the territory that some people are there just to use it as a swipe and hook up. But there are also people out there that are genuine, because if you think about it, I'm on there for genuine reasons, you're on there for genuine reasons. There are other people that are on there, people get married through it, so you can't just like mark them all off because of a few bad eggs. So overall, ranking my dating experience in Paris, I have to give it like a 35 million out of 10 because it was truly so fun and I loved every second of it. And I can't wait to go back because I did not get enough time. I definitely want to go on like the first Sunday of the month because I didn't get to go to the Pantheon or and I didn't get to go to the markets, which the markets are only there on Sunday, and I really wanted to go to the markets. So bummed about that, but just means I have to go back and I'm super excited. I was gonna do a full recap of the whole trip. We might save that for next week or do a mini episode about it when I'm doing my skincare videos next week. Because I bought a bunch of French skincare because my skin got really bad with the fires and then with travel and then was getting sick and everything. My skin has just been so bad and we got her so good. So I started a whole new French skincare routine. I've been making a video about it. So cannot wait to show you guys that because it's honestly so incredible. The one downfall, no one told me how much I would be sweating in Paris in January, because you think about it, like it is cold outside, but you're walking everywhere and you're riding a bike everywhere. So like then you get to the place and the heat is blasting. So nobody prepared me for the amount of swamp ass I was going to have in Paris. And it does, like I know people say they smell bad and it's because they're freaking getting their steps in and they don't all smell bad. But some, like I will say, door number three did have a bit of BO. But he had rode the train and had been at work all day. So if I would have came from the train, if he would have seen me when I was on the train for 2 hours with the old man, I would have smelled too. So I cannot. No one prepared me for the swamp ASS. It was so bad. I called Allie. I was like, girl, did you smell when you were here? Because how is this the perfume capital of the world and I'm stinking? So she gave me some hacks. She was like, use regular deodorant and the spray deodorant and then your perfume when you're sweating a lot. And I was like, genius. And she was like, good luck finding deodorant there. That was mean. That was mean. They do not all smell. But door number 3, 1 out of the 4 did have, but it wasn't bad. Like it wasn't the worst. Like I've smelled things that were worse. Okay, guys, on this note, I've exposed myself entirely too much. Please, 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 if you are enjoying this podcast, subscribe, leave a review. I love you. I mean it. Au revoir.